Howdy music fans, thanks for joining me. It's been a while since I've done a new video. I'm finally going to start ranking the Rolling Stones. Very tough, very tough. 25 records. Some people have 26 or say 26. I don't know how they came up with that. I gotta watch their videos again. But 25 studio albums. I'm not doing UK releases. I'm only doing US releases. I'm not doing Metamorphosis or Jamming with Edward. I'm not doing Stripped, which is a great album, or any live albums or any other compilation albums. Metamorphosis was they didn't even want to release that, and it was not an actual studio album. It was all kinds, and some of it's not even them. It's all kinds of weird stuff on Metamorphosis. So I'm going to do this twice. I'm going to do one video right now with ranking them in eras. And then I'm going to do a video, I'm going to try and put it all together and rank them as one catalog. Now here's how I broke it up. You could break it up, of course, by guitar players, right? Jones, Taylor, Wood. I'm not doing that. There'll be a little overlap. I'm doing it by what I think just feels like natural breaks in their career. So I'm going from England's Newest Hitmakers to what I think Satanic Majesties was their last, 60s-ish album in that vein. And then I'm doing Beggars Banquet all the way through Goat's Head Soup, because those were all Mick Taylor, except for, that's not really true though, because Let It Bleed and Beggars didn't have a lot of Mick Taylor on them. And then Mick Taylor was on It's Only Rock and Roll, so that cuts off there. I'm thinking about production and just sounds and just how the albums, the feel of the band's eras. So to me, going from Beggar's Banquet to Goat's Head Soup is kind of another compact little section of their timeline, of their lives, of their catalog. Okay, then it goes from, in my opinion, from It's Only Rock and Roll to Tattoo You. And then after that, and there could be arguments made that Undercover could be in that section, or it could go in the next one, or there could be the last bit could be broken up into two more sections, but I'm only doing 4 sections. So I'm doing Undercover all the way up through Blue and Lonesome. That's the biggest one. That's, I think, 7 or 8 CDs or something, albums. Okay, so here we go. Let's get started. Starting with the first group from the 60s, early 60s material. To me, the last one, let's see, how many albums do we have here? 2, 4, 6, 8. So that's England's Newest Hitmakers, 12 by 5, Now, Out of Our Heads, Aftermath, December's Children, Between the Buttons, and Satanic Majesties. To me, Satanic Majesties is not great, so I put this last, or first, however you want to think of it. The songs I like on this are 2000 Man, I love. 2000 Light Years from Home is great, and so is She's a Rainbow. And I kind of like, I think it's Gomper. In Another Land I used to like. I don't think I really like that one anymore. It's a Bill Wyman tune. I do like Bill Wyman's solo stuff a lot. And then I think it's Citadels is one of the other kind of rockers. But some of this stuff is just rubbish. And all the Rolling Stones will tell you that, I'm sure. Sing This All Together, On With the Show. Even The Lantern I really don't like very much. They were on drugs. They were in and out of jail. They were, just seems like they were just kind of screwing around with a bunch of beads and robes and trying to make an album. And they came up with some cool songs, but they didn't come up with a cool album, in my opinion, altogether. So that's last. Next would be the Rolling Stones Now. I think this is one of the weaker efforts of their covers, but it has a lot of really strong stuff. You know how I feel about ranking. Stuff can move around at any moment. Anything I'm listening to is my favorite at that time. But this has their version of Solomon Burke's Everybody Needs Somebody to Love, which they do. I said do. Down Home Girl is fantastic. Old Crow Medicine Show covers that as well. I forget whose song that is, but I love that song, and I think they do it great. You Can't Catch Me, I believe that's Chuck Berry, and it's just kind of I could be wrong about who wrote that. It never did a lot for me, even when I was a kid. I mean, I liked it. Yeah, that's Chuck Berry. Heart of Stone is killer. Okay, that's one of theirs. What a Shame is Mona is a Bo Diddley tune, and that's really good. Down the Road a Piece is another cover. It's okay. Off the Hook is really good, and that's an original. Pain in My Heart is pretty good. Oh Babe, We Got a Good Thing Going. That one I like a lot, and that's a cover. And then, of course, Willie Dixon's via Howlin' Wolf, Little Red Rooster. And Surprise, Surprise. Whatever, you know. So there's some really great stuff on here, but it's inconsistent, and I felt that way even as a kid when I was falling in love with this band. I do like it. I can listen to it all the way through, but it has patchy parts for me. So that's number 7. Next is Out of Our Heads. Mercy Mercy and Hitchhike. I think those are both Marvin Gaye tunes in a row. Isn't that weird? I could be wrong about that, but no, not Mercy Mercy, but Hitchhike is. They did a Last Time on this, which was a hit for them, and it's fantastic. Otis Redding's That's How Strong My Love Is, which he didn't write, but he does the famous version. It's okay. I used to like it a lot when I was a kid. And Sam Cooke's Good Times. I'm All Right is okay. It's not a great lyrical song, but it's a pretty rockin' groovin' song. Satisfaction is a studio masterpiece. I could stand to never hear it live again. I'd be happy with that. Studio masterpiece, though, for sure. Cry to Me is a really great song, but I'm sure the original's better. But I like theirs. The Under Assistant West Coast promo, man, it's just silly, but fun. I like it. Honestly, the best songs on this, in my opinion, are Play with Fire and The Spider and the Fly. Those are the 2 best tunes. And then The Last Time and Satisfaction and Hitchhike. Satisfaction, I wasn't around, of course, when that song was shaking the world, but to me, it's not their greatest song by any means. Okay, so that's number, 6. Next is December's Children. Okay, She Said Yeah. That is fantastic, and that is, I think that's a Chuck Berry tune. No, Talking About You. I always get that mixed up with the next song. Talking About You is a Chuck Berry song. But She Said Yeah is really great. Talking About You is pretty good. You Better Move On, the Arthur Alexander song. They do a beautiful version of that. Look What You've Done, I like. The Singer, Not the Song, I used to like. Their version of Route 66 is great. Get Off My Cloud is another overplayed one that I could stand to not hear too much more, but it is great. I'm Free, I used to love. As Tears Go By, I do a version of that on my channel, and I like that song a lot. Blue Turns to Gray, I used to like a lot, and Gotta Get Away, I like. I'm Moving On, the old Hank Snow song. It's funny, they do a country singer song, but so it's a pretty strong album, but it's kind of comes down right in the middle here. So this comes down at number, 5. Coming in at number 4, this has often made my number 1 and number 2 spot in Rolling Stones, in my Rolling Stones life. 12 by 5 is just a solid album. I love it. It's got Chuck Berry's Around and Around. It's got Confessin' the Blues, which, God, who does that? See, these are writers that we don't know. I can't remember who does it originally, but Empty Heart is a really good rocker. Time Is on My Side, their version of that is wonderful. Good Times, Bad Times is one of theirs. It's pretty good. It's All Over Now, the Bobby Womack song is fantastic. 2002 was 2120 South Michigan Avenue about Chess Records. That's a pretty cool song, even though it's an instrumental. I do like it. Their version of Under the Boardwalk is pretty fun. Congratulations is one of theirs. It's spelled wrong in here. Maybe it's a British spelling. It's got a D instead of a T. I used to like that. Now it's Grown Up Wrong, same thing. If You Need Me, I definitely like. And Susie Q, a Ronnie Hawkins tune, I can kind of do without that. But it's, that's that song is pretty much a Creedence song, let's face it. Anyway, so that comes in at strong number 4. Again, these are very hard for me to rank. Number 3, this was my first album that I ever bought, England's Newest Hitmakers, and I just freaking love this album. This was what really captured their live sound, the freneticness and the frenzy, the insanity of their live shows, and the pounding drums and bass. And this I've been told, or I've read, has really did capture their live sound the most. Buddy Holly's Not Fade Away. Again, we've got Route 66. This is the studio version. The other one was live. I Just Want to Make Love to You, the Buddy Holly tune. Honest I Do. Is that theirs, or is that I think that's theirs. It's one of my favorites. No, it's not theirs. But it's one of my favorites of theirs. I love that song. Now I've Got a Witness is a pretty fun kind of instrumental. A lot of great organ. Little by Little is okay. I'm a King Bee, the Jimmy, I don't know why I'm saying Jimmy, the Slim Harpo tune is fantastic. The Chuck Berry version of Carol is insane and crazy and great. It's very different from the live version on Get Your Yayas Out, which is more got a lot more roll to it and more smooth and slower for sure, but really, really killer. This version is just frenetic as hell and rocking. Tell Me, that's the tune I was trying to think of. I get that mixed up with Honest I Do. I don't know why. Tell Me is a fantastic original on their first album, so I love that. Can I Get a Witness? That one's another Marvin Gaye. You Can Make It If You Try is okay. And Walking the Dog is the Rufus Thomas tune is all right. So anyway, that's a very strong number 3 today. Strong, strong, strong number 2, Between the Buttons. Absolutely wore this album out as a kid. Just loved this album. It's got Let's Spend the Night Together, Yesterday's Papers, Ruby Tuesday, Connection, She Smiled Sweetly, Cool, Calm, and Collected, All Sold Out, My Obsession, Who's Been Sleeping Here, Complicated, Miss Amanda Jones, Something Happened to Me Yesterday, which, by the way, is the actual first appearance of Keith singing by himself. They go back and forth between Keith and Mick singing on that song, Something Happened to Me Yesterday. Who's Been Sleeping Here is kind of a pretty, almost Dylan-esque type tune. Complicated is a great little rocker. Miss Amanda Jones is a very Chuck Berry style great rocker, and these are all originals. Let's Spend the Night Together. What can you say? I mean, that song to me does not get old. Love the pumping piano that Ian Stewart plays in that. I believe it's Ian Stewart. Yesterday's Papers is pretty cool. Ruby Tuesday, I like that song for sure. Connection is killer, so much so that Keith revived it in his solo tours. She Smiled Sweetly is a pretty, gentle, sweet song. Sweet. Cool, Calm, and Collected is pretty fantastic, and All Sold Out is wonderful, and so is My Obsession. A lot of great rockers on this, and yet really mixed in with some very slow tempo, sweet songs. It really shows a lot of different sides to their writing, which I really appreciate, and that's one of the reasons I think I loved this album so much as a kid. But all these songs, to my knowledge, are all Jagger Richards compositions. Oh, maybe it said that right there, actually. Songs written by Jagger Richards. So this, I don't know if this was the first one where they wrote everything. I'd have to go look back through these, but I think it might be. No, the number 1 came before that, I think. Yeah. So anyway, this is strong number 2, and then Aftermath is number 1, and this also, they wrote everything on it, I believe. Painted Black. What can you say? Stupid Girl's a fun, goofy rocker. Lady Jane is another pretty song. Under My Thumb. God, the marimba in that. It's just a wonderful, incredible little riff. Don't You Bother Me is a pretty cool little upbeat blues, up-tempo blues song. Think I Love. Flight 505 is another great rocker, and High and Dry is a fun, romping little blues tune, and It's Not Easy is another great rocker. I Am Waiting is a little bit more silly, ethereal type weird stuff that they did, and Going Home is a long, long, drawn-out blues, and they're all written by Jagger Richards. And these remasters are great, and some of the songs go on longer than they did before too. Anyway, that comes in today at number 1 for me. Aftermath. Okay, now the next section, the bulk of the Mick Taylor with a little bit of not Mick Taylor stuff. This is also debatable, right? These albums, the Golden Run as they're called, plus Goat's Head Soup, which I really think should be in the Golden Run personally. These are all masterpieces. I cannot state that more plainly. These are all masterpieces. Every single one of these albums is just solid. So they could all be anywhere. But I'm going with, what do we have? 5 albums here. Number 5, Sticky Fingers. I have the double deluxe. Brown Sugar, that pumping acoustic guitar just kicks my ass every time I hear it. I don't get tired of that song. Again, another studio masterpiece that I don't have to hear live as much, but they have a lot of songs like that are studio masterpieces that I could do without hearing live. But Sway, I mean, God, that's a great song. Wild Horses, I'm a little over, but it is an incredible, beautiful song, and a lot of Keith on that. I think that's mostly Keith's song in general. Can't You Hear Me Knocking? Come on, that riff, opening riff, is just incredible. As a kid, I really didn't get the whole Santana sax crazy riffing bit at the end, and I still kind of don't, the Bobby Keys, Mick Taylor stuff. it's a little weird, but now you're just used to it, and it's part of the song, and it's okay. But that first half of the song with the riff and the lyrics is just spectacular. It's an incredible riff in open G. That's got to be one of the all-time greatest riffs of those Stones, if not all of rock and roll. Their version of the old Fred McDowell tune, "You Gotta Move," is pretty great. You know, they do a pretty iconic version of that. Honestly, I like that better than a lot of the old versions I've heard of it, like by Fred McDowell and other blues players. I think Reverend Robert Wilkins did it as well. "Bitch," honestly, doesn't do a lot for me. I love the Chuck Berry lead lines in it. I think the lyrics are decent, but the riff doesn't do a lot for me. I don't know why. I just don't really care for that song a whole lot. "I Got the Blues," another one. It's okay. I like it. I don't hate it, but it's not one of my favorites. Those two are the two weakest links on this album for me. "Sister Morphine" is incredible. I don't know if Ry Cooder is all over that or not, but it sure as hell sounds like it as far as the lead goes. And I just that song, yeah, "Sister Morphine" just kicks ass. And then we've got their very tongue-in-cheek "Dead Flowers" country tune, which is just a great country song. And any way you slice it, and I never get tired of that song. And last is "Moonlight Mile," and "Moonlight Mile" is just, I mean, again, it's just a genius riff and lyrics, and everything about it is absolutely incredible. Let's see if we can find Sister Morphine's slide player on here. Let's see. It is, well, what do you know? It is Ry Cooder. Yeah, so they just say guitar, but you know he's playing the slide on that. So yeah, "Sticky Fingers," a masterpiece, but comes in for me at number 5. Okay, next is "Beggars Banquet," another masterpiece, comes in at number 4. "Sympathy for the Devil," I don't get tired of that song. I absolutely love it, and that is the best example of Keith playing good leads. I love the leads on that, even though you got to wait a long time to get to them. "No Expectations" is a freaking absolute masterpiece. Beautiful slide guitar by Brian Jones, one of his last contributions, if not his last contribution to the band. And just beautiful lyrics. Everything about that song is gorgeous. "Dear Doctor," a great little kind of country acoustic, silly themed song that I love. "Parachute Woman" is kind of a acoustic blues rocker type thing, which I like. Okay, I think there might be electric in it too. It's not. It doesn't do a lot for me, although I do like it. "Jigsaw Puzzle" is very Dylan-esque, and that's one of Jagger's best writing efforts, in my opinion. Love it. "Street Fighting Man," another one that is a studio masterpiece that I can kind of do without. I mean, I like hearing this version. I don't care for all the other versions that other people have done, and I don't care for the live versions, except in the early '70s when they were really making into a jam. But that gets old. "Prodigal Son," the old Reverend Robert Wilkins song, they do a beautiful version of that. Absolutely wonderful. Love Keith's acoustic guitar on that. And then "Stray Cat Blues" is an absolute masterpiece. The theme isn't great, but it is a masterpiece. And "Factory Girl" is just a wonderful, wonderful acoustic ditty that they came up with. It's just so fun and so great. And then "Salt of the Earth" is Keith's next singing effort, where they go back and forth between Mick and Keith. And that one I can kind of do without. It's a little bit weak. As a kid, I loved it. I loved it, but it's a little bit weak, in my opinion, now. And they wrote everything on here except for "Prodigal Son." So anyway, that's a very strong number 4 out of 5. Number 3, "Goat's Head Soup." I can't get over how much I love this album. I just can't stress to you how much of a masterpiece and how great this is. Well, I know lots of you out there are going to be going, "No way in hell Goat's Head Soup beats Beggars and Sticky Fingers," and on any given day they won't. But today, the way I ranked them, they do, or it does. Yeah, and it's funny, the opening track, "Dancing with Mr. D," is not my favorite track on the album by any means. But, God, they couldn't have made this harder to read. 100 Years Ago is one of their best songs ever. Absolutely love that song. The lyrics, the incredible guitar work by Mick Taylor. I mean, this is really Mick Taylor's masterpiece, in my opinion. This and a few things on "It's Only Rock and Roll." I mean, he really shines on this album. And then we've got... God, Coming Down Again. God, that's already track number 3. That's a gorgeous song about Keith stealing Anita from Brian and drugs and all kinds of stuff. And it is very, very sad and very, very pretty and just a beautiful song. And Keith's singing is just incredible on this one. Then we've got Do 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 Heartbreaker. Come on, the clavinet and the badass riff and the live versions of Billy Preston all over that song. Just great, just great. And I think Billy Preston's all over this one too. And then we got Angie, which is, I'm over it, but it is a great song. It is a fantastic song, and if I hear it, I'll listen to it. I still like it a lot. It's not my favorite, but I love it. Silver Train, I love that song, and I know I have a friend who's a big Stones fan who just thinks that song's rubbish. I love it. I think that song is fantastic, and I love this remix on here, the remaster on this. I have the other remaster too, but this is just really, it pops. And then Winter, good Lord, Winter is a gorgeous, gorgeous song. Oh, did I miss something? Hide Your Love. What a funky tune that is, right? And is that the one with all the weird Moroccan bells and stuff on it and some drums? And yeah, that's just fantastic. And Winter, no, Can You Hear the Music is the one I'm thinking of with all the weird bells, I think, and the drums. But it's just a really strong side too, with Silver Train, Hide Your Love, Winter, Can You Hear the Music, Starfucker, Star, whatever. All of this is just fantastic. And next we get to the sprawling masterpiece that was not thought of as a great album at first, did not get great reviews. And now they put a second disc on it, which is pretty spectacular. But, I mean, this album is fantastic. I can't get over how great it is. The first, especially the first album, the first record of the set, the first and second side. Rocks Off, Rip This Joint. Rocks Off is one of their greatest songs of all time. That should be in every freaking live show they do. Love that song. That's an exaggeration. But Rip This Joint is great. Their version of Slim Harpo's Shake Your Hips. And then Casino Boogie, that's the one I think where they wrote down a bunch of weird phrases and words and tore them all up and threw them in a hat and just threw them all over the floor and then picked up stuff and put it together. And that's how they made the lyrics, how they wrote the lyrics for that song. Tumbling Dice, I don't get tired of that song, especially the original. Just wonderful. And it's a crowd favorite at live shows. Sweet Virginia is an amazing, fun little country campfire tune. Torn and Frayed is so underrated. Such a fantastic song. Great country and great harmonies by Keith on that. Sweet Black Angel, same thing. I think that's about Angela Davis. Another great little kind of country-ish ditty. It's got some other flavors in there. I believe that's about Angela Davis, a black activist, rights activist, civil rights activist in the 70s. Loving Cup, that's a wonderful song. Absolutely love that song. Love the piano on that, and the lyrics are great. And then Keith's, one of his masterpieces of Happy. Come on, that's just great. Turd on the Run is a pretty fun song, and it's just good. It's good, rip roaring, kind of raunchy rock and blues, just like Ventilator Blues is, except for that's a little slower tempo. I Just Want to See His Face is an interesting tune, and I like it. I like the weirdness in it and how much of a kind of a groove it is, like a chant almost. Let It Loose is one of the weaker tunes on here, but I do like it a lot. And then All Down the Line is a fucking rock and roll masterpiece. Absolutely love that song. Can't get enough of that song. One of the greatest songs ever. Love Mick Taylor on it. Love Ron Wood on it. Love it, love it, love it. Stop Breaking Down, their version of Robert Johnson. They really tear this up. It's pretty rocking on this. And then Shine a Light. Everybody loves Shine a Light, of course. That's a beautiful soul kind of song with the great organ in it. And then Soul Survivor, which they copied that riff later on Undercover, on a song on Undercover down the road. But Soul Survivor is good. Lyrically, it's one of those songs by Keith that's more a riff than anything. But it's a good song. I like it. All right, coming in at number 1 for me, Masterpiece. It's got 9 songs and it's still a masterpiece. Let It Bleed, Love in Vain, their version of Robert Johnson's tune. Midnight Rambler, yeah, okay, Get Your Ya-Ya's Out version is better, but this version is so snaky and slinky, and it's refreshing almost after you hear the live one so much and love the live one. You go back to this one and you're like, it's actually pretty damn good. And the harmonica's great, and it's pretty cool. It gets the point across. Gimme Shelter, of course, has been heralded as their greatest song ever, and that's a great song. You Got the Silver, come on. That is a Keith masterpiece if there ever was one. Beautiful acoustic, wonderful slide. You Can't Always Get What You Want is one that's overplayed, but it's overplayed because it's a brilliant song. The chorus of the choir, the boys' choir, and the chorus, and the change in tempo is and all the different parts of it. It's just a spectacular song. And then Live With Me, I used to love that song more than anything. Now it's one of the weaker tunes to me on the album, but I do like it a lot still. And Monkey Man, I mean, speaking of songs with sections in them, like You Can't Always Get What You Want and Midnight Rambler, both of those just have all these great, at least three just major different parts of the songs, almost like a little mini opera of sorts. Yeah, Monkey Man's got to be one of the greatest Rolling Stones. I mean, that would make my top 5 Rolling Stones songs probably. I should do a top 5 or top 10 Rolling Stones songs. And then Country Honk. I don't care if anybody poo-poos this song. I love it. It is a wonderful take on honky tonk women, and it's women, not woman. And I really think that country honk and honky tonk women have both coexist beautifully in this world. They should both exist, and I know that was Keith's nod to George Jones, I believe, initially, and it's incredible. It's a fun, ragged little goofy, sloppy, wonderful country song with I believe Doug Kershaw on the fiddle, and oh, just killer. And Mick's vocals on all of these are fantastic. Mick also does a vocal. It's on YouTube and it's on lots of bootlegs of You Got the Silver, which is pretty incredible. And then I didn't talk much about Let It Bleed, but Let It Bleed is one of their great rockers also that's not really a rocker, country rocker, I don't know, wonderful song, wonderful acoustic and wonderful slide. And then that version of Love in Vain, the Robert Johnson tune, I mean, they just completely reworked it and made it their own, and that I gotta respect. That's incredible. All right, let's move on. This video is getting long. Let's get into the mid-70s to the early 80s. The last one would be Black and Blue, which is a great album. You know, I like the production, I like the album, but it's one of those ones that's pretty short and I kind of get over it after a while. It's got too much slow stuff and it's short, but it is good. I mean, it's just weird. You know, it's got Hot Stuff, which is this funky rocker, Hand of Fate, which is a great rock and roll tune, one of their greatest guitar solos ever, not played by Rolling Stone, played by Wayne Perkins of Steely Dan fame. And then Cherry O Baby, the UB40 song. It's just a weird record. And then Memory Motel, which everybody heralds as one of the greats. And it is great. Once that kind of got some traction around 1994 and it started getting played live all the time, I kind of got over it. But it's a beautiful song and it's a great story and it's a great duet between Keith and Mick, no question. And then Hey Negrita is a great song. It's another funky one, and Melody is a funky kind of jazzy one. And then you got Fool to Cry, which is their kind of, you know, mixed falsetto, which I love, but that one is it just feels so kind of contrite and disingenuous, maybe, I don't know. And then Crazy Mama, which is your typical raunchy open G rock and Rolling Stones song, which is great. So this comes in at number, what do we got here? I'm doing 5 for this section. This comes in a strong number 5, but definitely the weakest of the 5. And that would be on any day for me. Next, It's Only Rock and Roll is a great album. I do like it. I could stand to never hear the song It's Only Rock and Roll live again, but this is another one that is a studio masterpiece. The acoustic guitars pumping through that and these slinky, badass Chuck Berry leads that Keith weaves throughout them. And I know there's the original version that had Bowie singing a little bit, and Ron, I forget who was on drums on that. It might have been like, I don't know, Jim Keltner or somebody even. I don't think so, but it might have been Randy Weeks on bass. I don't know who the hell was on this originally, but Keith wiped all the guitars, all of Ron Wood's guitars, and you know what? I've heard that version recently, and it's great as a historical document, and I like it, but this is the masterpiece, this version on this album. And then If You Can't Rock Me is just a killer rock and roll song. That's one of my favorite Stone songs. That might make the top 5. I don't know. It's got Time Waits for No One, which is Mick Taylor's opus for sure. No question about that. As far as long, winding guitar leads and just beautiful, beautiful stuff. It's reminiscent of Goat's Head Soup for sure. Fingerprint File, another weird, funky tune left over maybe from oh no, it's not leftover. It's before Black and Blue. That's right. Ain't Too Proud to Beg, their version of, oh God, what is that? The Temptations. It's pretty great. It's a good version. I do like it. At the time, I didn't know it wasn't their song, so I loved it. Till the Next Goodbye, I used to really, really love, and I still like it. Luxury is a fun little rock song. Dance Little Sister is a fun little rock song. If You Really Want to Be My Friend is another pretty acoustic song, kind of like Till the Next Goodbye. Till the Next Goodbye is definitely a better song. And then Short and Curly's is, a silly little rock song with some great piano in it. So anyway, It's Only Rock and Roll comes in at number 4. Emotional Rescue has got fantastic production, and that funky ass dance part 1 is badass. I don't care what anybody says. I love when they mess around with these funky riffs and stuff. Summer Romance is a fun little rocker, and Send It To Me is this goofy little kind of reggae but original, and it's pretty cool. I like it. Let Me Go, though, is, Let Me Go and She's So Cold. Those are the two great rockers on this album. Down in the Hole is a down and dirty, blues, which is great. Indian Girl is another one of these Mick trying to be, current and political, and I don't know. It's good and it's pretty, and at the time when I was a kid, I was like, oh God, he's such a great writer, and it's so sweet. And now I'm just like, yeah, that's Mick being Mick, and who knows how sincere any of that is. Where the Boys Go is a great, fun, stupid little rocker, much like Summer Romance, but great. And then She's So Cold. I said that. All About You. That a lot of people love that as a Keith tune. The fact that there's conjecture about him, that this is all about bashing Mick, I don't really dig that. I was a little bit bummed about that in his book, actually, about how much he bashed others, because I think of him as the guy that doesn't really do that. Even though I know he did that on his first solo effort, and he does it here. And I don't know, it's a good song. I like it. I liked it a lot as a kid. It's kind of grown old for me, but still, this is a strong number 3. And coming in at number 2 is Some Girls, which is another masterpiece. This could be their best album ever. This could be in the Golden Run if it wasn't, truncated. Is that right? And the second disc of this is fantastic as their deluxe releases go. It's just incredible. But Some Girls, come on, it's got Miss You. I don't care what you say about Miss You. If you don't like it because it's disco or you think it's disco, it's just 4 on the floor and it freaking rocks. And live, it kicks ass. They kill it live. When the Whip Comes Down, great little rocker. Mick at his best. Imagination. Good doing the Temptations again, or great cover of that one, and they do it well. Some Girls, is good. That's a slower blues, and it's of course politically incorrect nowadays, but it's a good song. Lies is probably one of the weaker tunes on the album. It's just a frenetic, upbeat, crazy rocker. Lies dripping off your mouth like dirt. Faraway Eyes. Some people I've heard bash it on their Stones rankings. I love it. Mick talks the whole song except the chorus. I mean, the chorus is what you're living for in that song for sure, and then the pedal steel and stuff. But the chorus is great. The melody of it and the singing and the harmonies by Keith are wonderful. Respectable, badass rocker. Before They Make Me Run, one of Keith's absolute, hands down, one of his best freaking songs. Just a great rocker. Never really could catch it live because he didn't try it to catch it live for decades after this, but just fantastic. One of his best. Beast of Burden is a wonderful song, and Shattered, I know it was a kind of a hit or got a lot of radio play. I like it okay. It's good, but it's not the strongest. But anyway, strong number 2 in this section. And number 1, the album of Outtakes that got leftovers. Tattoo You is a masterpiece in production, in writing, in presentation, in sound quality, in everything, in song content. I mean, it is incredible. There's a weak link or two, but it is a fantastic album. Start Me Up, again, love that song. I like it live too. I love Ron Wood's leads in it live, how he mixes it up so much. I can't read this. I know what's on it. It won't be in order, but anyway, Little T&A is a fun rave up rocker by Keith, great song, great riff. Slave, I didn't like as much when I was a kid because it's slower, but it is pretty damn badass. And that has, God, I forget the guitar player on it now. It's not Sonny Rollins, I don't think. It might be Joshua Redman. Is that his name? Josh Redman? I forget who's on it, but It is. It's a great song, and I do like it a lot. Neighbors is probably the weakest link on there, and I can get into that song at times. You know, it's an upbeat rocker. Content wise, it's not great, but it's okay. I like it. Okay, not great. Black Limousine, killer. Absolutely love Black Limousine. Love it live, especially when they did it live in the 90s, 94. The live on the 81 tour, I think it was pretty good too, but 94 was fantastic. That is just a killer, killer, killer song. And Hang Fire is one that probably a lot of people think of as a throwaway. I think of it as a great little English rock and roll song. Just love it. Loved it when I was a kid. Those do 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 do. I mean, it's a badass song. I don't care what anybody says. Um, and then Tops, the spacey, weird, ethereal, whacked out Tops. No, Heaven. I'm sorry, Heaven and Tops are. I get those two mixed up. Tops is more of a. I don't even know how to describe that song. This album has such a feel to it. It's amazing that they could do that and make it so consistent when these songs are from all over. It's incredible what they did with this. Yeah, Heaven is the one that's a little bit more weird and ethereal, I think, and Tops is just a fun kind of slow, raunchy kind of, I don't know, rock song. Word About You, though, is one of their masterpieces. And again, I think that's Wayne Perkins on guitar, or it's not Ron Wood, I don't think, on the lead there. It's an incredible lead. One of my favorite leads of all the Stones. Hand of Fate and Worried About You. Two songs that Stones didn't play the lead. Um, Love Worried About You. Love Ain't No Use in Crying. I mean, Ain't No Use in Crying is a fantastic song that nobody ever even thinks about that's on this album. Really great song. And then last, of course, Waiting on a Friend. Everybody loves Waiting on a Friend. I might have missed one. I don't think I did, though. Oh, this might be able to read them better. Let's see. Start Me Up, Hang Fire, Slave, Little Teen A, Black Limousine, Neighbors, Worried About You, Tops, Heaven, No Use in Crying, Waiting on a Friend. Yeah. What a great album. What a great album. Okay, that's it for that section. And then the last section, there's might be back to 2, 4, 6, 7. So not the biggest. We had 8 in the beginning, and then a couple of 5s, and now we got a 7. Does that up to 25? Yeah, it does. Of course, Dirty Work is last. I don't care what anybody says. I know there's been some praise about this album recently, and I look back on it, and I still haven't listened to it to really give it a recent go, but some Stones fans really like it. I'm shocked. Um, I liked it as a kid because it came out when I was getting into them. I was 10 in 1980, and that's when I started getting into them. And this was their second or third album after I got into them. Right, One Hit to the Body. It's the somebody said this on a one of their rankings recently. I forget his name. Edwin. I don't want to say his last name wrong because it's a long Italian name, and I don't want to fuck it up, but he has a really great ranking of it and of the Stones, and I think he's the one that talked about. Might have been somebody else. These pastels and these colors might have been Pete Pardo at Sea of Tranquility, actually, but talked about the pastels and the design promo stuff with this album, and how you kind of put that in your head, and then you just don't give the album a chance. And I think there's some truth to that. I really do. I mean, this is terrible. This is terrible. It's the worst look ever. It's not the Rolling Stones. It's not what you think of. It's not what you want to see. Because it's not the worst album. I mean, One Hit to the Body, people praise a lot of it. One Hit to the Body is okay. I gotta listen to this again. Fight, I never got into. It's kind of another rave up, really, really upbeat, kind of hard, frenetic rocker. Harlem Shuffle, I kind of like it. That's the cover on there. Hold Back, I don't remember. I'm kind of coming to me as I think about it, but I don't think I like that one. Too Rude, I actually did like. I know a lot of people poo-poo their reggae tunes. I did like that one. Winning Ugly is okay. It made it in that Ruthless People out. No, maybe Ruthless People is the song I'm thinking of in that movie with Danny DeVito. Anyway, I think that's a Mick Jagger tune, not a Stones tune. Winning Ugly, Back to Zero is not great, and Dirty Work is not great, and Had It With You is probably my favorite because it's a little rocker, but it's kind of weak too. Sleep Tonight actually might be the best one on here, I think that's a Keith tune. Yeah, that's a Keith tune. Too Rude and Sleep Tonight are Keith tunes. Singing wise, anyway. No, wait, Too Rude, is that Jagger or Ron? That's not Ron Wood. Ron Wood gets some writing on here though, so that lets you know he broke through the iron grip, the iron wall of he gets a third. Yeah, he gets a writing credit on one, two, um, three, four songs. So you know that there was trouble in paradise if they're loosening the grip to let somebody else get a writing credit. Just not a great album. The production, the songs, I'm just not thrilled with it. Same thing with this one. Bridges of Babylon comes in at number 6. You know, I there's some stuff on here I like. Flip the Switch is okay. I don't know what the hell he's talking about half the time with some of this stuff. Like Too Tight is another one of those songs of his. It's just there or theirs. It's just a riff, and what are they talking about? You know, how can I stop and Thief in the Night? A lot of people talk about those two being the strongest, and Keith gets 3 on here, so more Trouble in Paradise, and he also has You Don't Have to Mean It, and they are all strong, all 3 of those. I will say that. I'd say the strongest to me is his little reggae ditty of You Don't Have to Mean It, and then Thief in the Night, and then How Can I Stop, just in that order. Always Suffering is good, but it's the exact same melody as another song on the album, Already Over Me, that starts also with always, all A-L, already suffering, always, already over me, always suffering. But they're both country-ish, and I like them. Anybody Seen My Baby was the one that made the radio, and they got sued by Katie Lang, and I think it's terrible. This is when they got the Chemical Brothers or whatever involved in production. It's not a great song in my opinion. Lowdown is okay. It's not great. Gunface I didn't like very much. But then these couple that made it to the stage with them and maybe had some radio play are actually pretty badass songs. Out of Control and Saint of Me are both wonderful. I think I love them. I think they're great. And then that's everything. That's the whole album. So it's not terrible. It's not great. Again, production and again some inconsistencies, and it's not terrible. Yeah, they're not terribly consistent. Speaking of production, next coming in on number 5 is Steel Wheels, which I think has some strong songs on it, and I like it. Again, this is one that came out when I was getting into them in the 80s. Sad, 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 Mixed Emotions, and Hold On to Your Hat are their 3 real rockers on here that I think are actually all pretty good. Terrifying, I think, is pretty good. Hearts for Sale, I like. Blinded by Love is a pretty little country ditty that you can't necessarily, with some kind of foreign flavors as well in it, that you can't necessarily believe what Mick's saying, but I like it. Can't Be Seen might be one of Keith's worst. And Wanna Hold You, which, oh, never mind, we're not there yet. But Can't Be Seen, I don't think is very good. It's okay. Almost Hear You Sigh, though, is fantastic. And that's another Mick tune. And then Continental Drift is a weird, I don't know what the hell. It's like Just Want to See His Face, but not. And then Break the Spell is kind of funky and pretty cool. Slipping Away is really good. That's another Keith tune. And the worst song ever on the planet is Rockin' a Hard Place. No, maybe not, but it's one of the worst, if not the worst, Rolling Stone songs. Okay, next, Blue and Lonesome. This did not make it very high on many people's lists, and it's only because it's new and it's all covers. That's the main reason. Although one person brought up the point that it's slicked up production, and that's not what blues should be, and that I get. But, for the fact that these guys have been playing this music for 50 years, they should be experts by now, and they are, and they should be able to just go in the studio for 4 or 5 days, which is what they did, and just bang this out live, which is amazing that they did that, even though, like I just said, they should be able to do that. Great covers, great songs, and they're not just, what I like about this is hardly any of these songs are songs that you're going to hear that everybody covers by blues artists, and that I love. There's and even them, they've covered a lot of widely covered songs, but these songs, most of these, when I heard this was coming out, I was like, oh boy, what's going to be on it? I don't think I've heard any of these really, except for maybe Hoodoo Blues and I Can't Quit You Baby. Maybe Ride 'Em On Down and Everybody Knows About My Good Thing, but the rest of these I don't think I've heard. I think it's great, and it really, and Keith has said this, really showcases Mick's harmonica playing. I mean, he is an absolute harmonica master, and this album shows it. And that's actually my one complaint. There's not enough guitar on it. You know, there's hardly any guitar solos. Eric Clapton does a little bit of slide on some one or two songs, but there's hardly any real guitar solos on any of these. And so I'd like to hear more guitar solos, maybe even some piano solos. But still, it's a hell of an effort for a bunch of guys in their 70s or whatever when they did this, and over just 3 or 4 days live. Next is Voodoo Lounge. When this album came out, it kicked my ass. I loved it. There's like 4 weak tracks on it. Baby Break It, that again fall under the category of it's just a riff and we don't really know what they're, and Mick's trying to put some words to it. Like Baby Break It Down is one of those. And I guess that might be the only one, but it has some weak links. Let's do the weak links first. Out of Tears is just kind of more drippy, sappy. You know, we're trying to get a hit song on the radio, even though we don't need to do that anymore. And then Through and Through is a Keith tune that a lot of Keith fans will kill me for, but I don't think it's very good. I don't like it. I don't like the sparseness of it, and I don't like the waiting for the lyric to come, and I don't like the beat of it. I just don't think it's all that great, even though I love Keith. And Blinded by Rainbows is another one that's a little bit trite. You know, Sweethearts Together, that's the other one. That one's kind of cool because when this came out, people thought of that as kind of Mick and Keith as being the Sweethearts Together. So that's kind of cool. But other than that, it's kind of like, I Go Wild is all right, not great. And You Got Me Rockin' is all right, not great. And those both made it into the live set a lot on that tour, all on every show probably. But even after You Got Me Rockin' comes back still. And they're good, but I think Love Is Strong, which was definitely a Keith riff from Talk Is Cheap, is fantastic. I think Sparks Will Fly is a great little rocker. I don't care if it's about sex and nothing else, and like so many of their other songs. I think it's a great song. The Worst is one of Keith's masterpieces. Beautiful acoustic country tune. New Faces and Moon Is Up, to me, those kind of fit together as a great pair that could be off of Between the Buttons or even Beggars Banquet or something, or Exile, something weird. They're really cool. They're very different. Brand New Car is a slinky little blues rocker, like Black Limousine kind of, more cars. And Suck on the Jugular is a real funky, badass rocker. And then Mean Disposition is another upbeat kind of blues rocker. And, I love this album when it came out. Just as I did this one, it's hard to put out albums with 15, 16 songs and then be strong albums. And I think this is a strong album. I think they both are. And this one has a few weak ones, like Sweet Neocon. Again, Mick trying to be political. And then there's another one that's Dangerous Beauty. And that's another one that's like, they're just trying to find words for a riff. Dangerous Beauty and She Saw Me Coming. Those two. So those 3 are the weak links. And then there's one other that I thought was kind of weak. But Rough Justice is a badass rocker. Let Me Down Slow is a great, pretty country-ish tune. Back of My Hand is a killer slow blues. Oh, Streets of Love. That's their Out of Tears, right? Out of Tears, Streets of Love. And they're both these sappy piano, we want to write a pop hit songs. But then Biggest Mistake is another great kind of country rock song. She Saw Me Coming. I already talked about that. Rain Falls Down is another funky, badass tune. It Won't Take Long is another good little kind of churning rocker. This Place Is Empty is got a weird, I don't know what that instrument even is in there. It's got a weird riff going through the whole thing that is that's kind of spiraling up. And it's a great Keith song. And so is Infamy. Maybe I'm thinking of Infamy. I get those. Yeah, no, sorry, that's Infamy. This Place Is Empty is a more of a sweet acoustic thing that he wrote for Patty Hansen, his wife, and that's pretty great song. Oh No, Not You Again is a fun rocker. Oh God, Look What the Cat Dragged In. A lot of people write that off as just junk. I think it's great. Same with Driving Too Fast. I think is a killer rock and roll song. And Laugh I Nearly Died, I think, is really, really good. Kind of a exotic blues, slow rock tune. And number 1 in this period to me is Undercover, which a lot of people think of as crap. I think it's a solid album. Again, I was 13. I think this came out in 83, and I just loved it. To me, new Rolling Stones album came out, and I thought it was fantastic. Undercover of the Night is killer. She Was Hot is a great rocker. Tie You Up, The Pain of Love is a cool little groovy kind of rock tune. Wanna Hold You, not Keith's greatest effort. Again, I said this in one of my other videos. The line that he says, I hope you find it funny that I got no money. Terrible, terrible. Not a bad riff, but ugh. Feel On Baby is a slow, slinky reggae type tune, which is really cool. Too Much Blood is a fun freaking song, and it's gory and goofy, but it's great. Pretty Beat Up, another one's pretty fun rocker with some great drums in it. Too Tough is a fantastic rocker, as is All the Way Down, and then All the Way Down, I love that song. And then It Must Be Hell is the one that ripped off Soul Survivor from Exile on Main Street. But great riffs, great guitar tracks on this. I think this is a great little solid rock and roll guitar album. That's it, folks. Longest video in ages. I hope you get through it and tell me what you think of my rankings in eras. And now that I've done that, maybe I won't do a ranking of all of them as one catalog. I don't know. We'll see. Thanks. Happy Easter. Have a good day.